Hey everyone, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 2 class. Today we are going to talk about absolute value inequalities. That is lesson 2.3 in your book, and that is on page number 77, absolute value inequalities. Well, if you were to just go to your book, and if you were to just kind of read the book and try to figure it out, I think that you may be pretty confused on this lesson. So I am going to try my best to simplify what the book is telling you and maybe give you a little bit easier way to solve these. So if you look at the book there, it's telling you it gives absolute values, and it says it uses values of A and K. K stands for the constant, okay, or the number that you're using there. And it says if it's greater than negative or if it's positive than negative, all these different things are going on there in the book. I'm going to try to, and maybe this is oversimplifying it, but I'm just going to try to simplify it down to this. Solve them the way that you would solve any inequality. Any regular inequality, the ones that we did last lesson, any compound inequality, any regular inequality, and solve them. Here's the other thing. Solve them like you would any absolute value equation. We've already done that, where we isolate the absolute value, where we make two, a positive and a negative. And if you'll just follow your steps. Now, don't forget, this is the trick, and this is what they're kind of trying to show you with the absolute value of A and K and all this other stuff. They're trying to show you why, when you switch the sides, when you take it and you multiply or divide by a negative number and you switch the sides with that negative number, why do you take the sign and flip the sign? Okay. And so this lesson is kind of trying to teach you that just a little bit. I'm not going to spend the same amount of time that they do in the book. If you really want to go in and kind of look at it, you can and get the idea there. But the idea is this. If you will solve these with the steps that you know how to do, the steps of solving inequalities and the steps of absolute value, then you'll be fine and you're going to get the right answers. Okay? So if you will look at page 77 at the bottom, they give you steps for solving. And the first step is to isolate. Well, we know that because we have solved absolute value equations. So we isolate the absolute value. That is still the first step. Now, step number 2, they tell you to rewrite the inequality in the proper conversion with all the H's and K's and all that stuff. I am not going to do that right now. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say for step number 2, solve it like you would solve an absolute value equation. Do the negative side, do the positive side, and then just solve it out. And you'll see. Then we just do graph the critical numbers that we get, graph the solutions, and then we just test the values just like we did in the other one. So I'm not even going to write these steps because these steps are just a combination of the two things that we've already done. If you want to look at the steps, you can look at them. They are on page number 77. Okay. All right. So let's do one of these. Go ahead and look down here. We're going to do 2x minus 1. Is greater than 7. 2x minus 1 is greater than 7. So let's see what happens. So the first thing we want to do is we want to isolate the absolute value. That's already done. Okay. The second thing that we want to do then is we want to solve the absolute value, and we're going to break it down into two different equations. We're going to do the positive equation, and then we're going to do the negative equation. So 2x minus 1, and you could actually do something, well, I'm not going to say that, is greater than 7. And that's a 7. That's a bad looking 7. I'll put that there. And then this other one is the negative equation, 2x minus 1 greater than 7. And the reason I put that is because we had to distribute this in, if you remember from solving the absolute value equations. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this positive one. We'll add 1 to both sides. Remember, we don't change anything there because we're adding 1. We're not multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So this stays the same. And so this is going to cancel. And we're going to get 2x is greater than 8 We're going to divide both sides by 2. Again, it stays the same because we're dividing by a positive number. X is greater than 4. That's our critical number. We're going to come over here and we're going to distribute, and we're going to get minus 2x plus 1 is greater than 7. And again, that's a little bad looking 7, so I'll add that to it. We're going to subtract 1 from both sides and get negative 2x is greater than, again, don't change the sign because we're just subtracting. We're not dividing or multiplying by a negative 1 there. We are going to have to change the sign here in just a second, but for right now, we're fine. And then, so that's going to give us a 6. Now be careful because look, we're dividing by a negative 2. As soon as you see us divide by a negative 2, this sign has to switch. X is now less than negative 3. Okay? All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to put it onto your number line. Go ahead and put a number line up here. And we'll put a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a 4, that was an important point. 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. That's our other critical line. And so let's go ahead and graph that. I'll graph in yellow. So they're not equal to, so we're going to circle both of these points. We're going to circle our 4, and we're going to circle our negative 3. Those are our critical points. Now what we have to do is we have to test. So we're going to test one spot from over here. So let's test the negative 4. We're going to test one spot from the middle. We'll test the 0. And we'll test one spot over here. We'll test the 5. Let me get rid of this circle here. All right. So now how do we test them? Well, what you really want to do is kind of go back to the original. If you try to test them right here, you can do it. Okay. In fact, it's not a bad idea. Let me show you just here, and let me show you into the top thing too. So let's just do it right here. Negative 4 is greater than 4. No, negative 4 is not greater than 4. Let's try 0. 0 is greater than 4. No. 5 is greater than 4. Yes, 5 is greater than 4. So this one seems to work. Now, let's try it here. 5 is less than negative 3. Okay, well that one doesn't work either. Okay, and so you're looking at this going, well, I don't think anything works. And that's why I said don't use these. Okay, you're going to get confused trying to use those. So here's what we need to do. Go back into the original equation. Okay, that is a key right here, because as you saw when I did that, it seems like, well, nothing is going to work. Something is going to work. So let's go back and go into the original equation. So the original equation was absolute value 2x minus 1 equals 7. Okay. Oh, not equals 7. It was greater than 7. Sorry. All right. And so now what we want to do is plug in our test points to that. So let's try negative 4 as a test point. So 2x times negative 4 minus 1, absolute value greater than 7. Let's see, that's negative 8 minus 1's negative 9. Negative 9 in absolute value is going to give us 9 is greater than 7. And the answer to that is yes, it is. So this one actually does work over here. Okay. It didn't work when we did it in the other spot, but it did work here. So let's go ahead and erase this stuff here. And we'll try it again. And now we're going to try it with the 0 in the middle. All right. So 0. So that's going to be 0 minus 1. Negative 1 is greater than 7, and that is not true. So the middle part does not work. And let's try the 5. Let's go out here and try the other one. And you say, well, why do we have to try them all? Yeah, you really do. Because some of these, they might work, and some of them, they might not work. And so you got to be careful. So let's try the 5. 2 times 5. Oops, sorry. There we go. 2 times 5 minus 1 in absolute value is greater than 7. 2 times 5 is 10 minus 1. We're actually back to 9. Before we had a negative 9, now we have a positive 9. But it doesn't matter because it's inside the absolute value. So it's 9 is greater than 7. And that is true again. 9 is greater than 7. So this side would also work. So that's how you would graph that one. The outsides would work, the inside would not work, and that's the graph. Here's kind of the tricky part here. What would that look like in interval notation? Here's what I would do with that one. Let me erase some of this so that you can see this, okay? So here's what I would do. I would make 2 separate interval notations. I would do this one in interval notation, and I would do that by saying, okay, so anything, x can be anything greater than 4. So we would take 4, that would be our starting point. Does it include 4? No. So it gets a parenthesis until infinity. We also do not include infinity. Okay, and so that would be one of your solutions. And then over here, your other solution would be, let's see, let me change this. Well, I'll just leave this the same color. So x is less than negative 3. So negative 3 would be the top side. Does not include negative 3. Negative infinity does not include negative infinity. So that would be the other one. So from less than. Now, if you struggle with that, or if that's something that's hard for you, then just kind of walk through it and think through it. Or you can even do it from here. You can look at this and say, okay, so this one would be the negative 3. Here's the critical number. So there's my negative 3, and then it goes left, so my negative infinity would have to go on that side. You can do that, and then you can look at this one and say, okay, here's my other side, and here's my 4. That's my starting point, and it goes on till infinity. So whatever you want to do there. The one that would not be a solution is here in the middle. And how would you write the middle part using the notation, using the interval notation? Well, the middle part would look like this using interval notation. Negative 3, comma 4. And they're not included, and this one would not be part of the answer. These ones would be part of the answer. Okay? So again, if you want to use the H and or the K and A and all that stuff that the book shows you, that's fine. You can go back through and look at how the book does it, but I think that doing it this way is going to simplify it for you. This is the way we've already been doing them. This is the way we've done absolute value, and this is the way that we have done interval notation, and this is the way that we have done just the inequalities. So I think by doing it this way with these steps, this is going to cause you the most chance of success. It is possible that none of them work, and in that case you'd have no solution. It is actually possible that all of them end up working just in the way that it's set up. And so you've got to test all 3 points. You got to test on the outsides and in the middle, because it's possible that nothing works, and it is also possible that everything works, or maybe just one of them works. So be careful to test all of your points. Okay? All right. Well, that does it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.